Most people believe that within the next few years there will be a transformative shift in their jobs, which suggests the need for significant rethinking and adaptation. At the 14th Biennial Corporate Governance Conference 2024, we highlight some of the issues that we need to identify and understand, from corporate resilience, ESG, and climate change, to digital transformation, AI, and the implementation of the Greater Bay Area concept. This session turns our focus to artificial intelligence by asking and addressing timely questions. Do you use AI to help streamline work and boost productivity? Does your company have a plan for implementing AI? Ms. Callie Chen, General Manager of Microsoft Hong Kong and Macau, will help us discover whether AI awareness in the Hong Kong community is greater or lesser than we might have expected.
Good afternoon, everyone. From this video, it says that we need to join 3 meetings at the same time. We need to convert 150-page material into just a few pages of presentation slide. And we need to deliver the same outcome, but with reduced cost. Is it possible, or is just something can happen in a movie? No. Actually, it can be possible and is already happening in some company in Hong Kong. What I mean by some company, it can be an enterprise like Cathay Pacific. Cathay Pacific, I think everybody know about it. They actually is one of the early adopter on Copilot. What they love most, we all understand that even though right now, a lot of us do very hard, hope we can boost the economy. But for airline industry, we know that post-COVID do have a lot of rebounds. Then that means the employee are getting much, much more busy. What they enjoy most is how, with Copilot, can enable the employee really attend 3 or 4 meetings at the same time. After meeting, help them to quickly drop the minutes and summarize the action items and help employees to draft the response, to read the email, increase their productivities. It's something happening in enterprise. In Hong Kong, we have a lot of property agents. They're SME. Even though the property market is a bit tough, but still, they need to think how they can provide better customer service for the prospect buyer. Later, I will show you a video. They use the large language model, generative AI, which help them to provide a much more effective customer online service for their prospect buyer. In the education sectors, in the past, you know that for a professor, when they need to prepare course material, usually a professor, I think at least need to take a few weeks. But right now, with large language model, generative AI, actually a professor can just get some of their online training material by using the transcript, the slide, can help them to create courseware in 13 hours. It's already happening in Hong Kong U. Not just university. You know, a primary school teachers also use AI to provide some sort of AI math tutor for the student, which can help to give assignment to the student according to the different level of the student, help students to mark their assignment, and then explain to them what they are wrong. I have another video, actually, we also like to show you, it's related to a legal profession, because I know that for today in the governance conference, quite a lot of you do have a legal background. Okay, then let's see some of the video. And the video, indeed, is not just a video, it's something already happened in Hong Kong. It's about the property agents. A customer type in what they want. It can be English, it can be Chinese, it no need to be in very good grammar. With the launch of this AI chatbot, it increased the customer satisfaction by 80% and increased the business volume and the inquiries from the prospect buyers. Another example, for legal professions, by using generative AI, help legal professions to draft legal documents. Of course, at the end, it doesn't mean that the legal profession can immediately use the document, but at least try to imagine if somebody help you to draft, then significantly increase your productivities. Okay. After seeing this example, then go back to the survey which Microsoft and LinkedIn, at the beginning of this year, we interviewed for more than 30,000 people, which include leaders as well as employees globally. It includes Hong Kong specific data as well. In Hong Kong, we interviewed around 1,000 people, and this is the data. According to the survey, it says that 88% of the Hong Kong people are already using AI at work. And 86% of the people say that, oh, I cannot wait for my company to give me an AI tools. I bring my own AI tools. So you know, recently there's a new term called BOYAI, no longer BOYD. Then that means the employee bring their own AI tools. From this data, what that means? That means is for the people in Hong Kong, actually this data is quite aligned to the global data. The employee indeed, they really want to have some tools can help them to increase their productivity so that they can have better work-life balance. The second thing is they indeed are very proactive. They say that, let's bring our own tools. Then from a corporate governance on data privacy perspective, is it good or bad? What do you think? Some company may think, oh, then that's good. Then I don't need to buy tools for the employee. But try to think deeply. If they just use their own tools, then that means whenever, with whatever data they use, that you become part of the public cloud information, then the public cloud vendor will use to train the engine. If from that aspect, indeed, it's very dangerous. By looking at this data, on one hand, of course, we're so happy because employees, indeed, they learn by themselves, they upgrade themselves. But on the other hand, I think for us, as a leader in our corporations, it is also our responsibility. We need to provide education to all our employees, make them understand what is the danger, what is data privacy, what is cybersecurity on these topics. And of course, at the same time, we also need to provide some alternative for the employee. Okay. Then another angle is about how's the leader perspective about hiring. Interesting. We interviewed the leaders, asked them what type of people you would like to hire. 77% of the people say that I prefer to choose someone junior, but know how to use AI, ChatGPT, instead of someone they don't know. 65% of the leaders even say, if the candidate don't know AI, I will not hire. What that means, I don't know whether it's same as what in your mind, but at least I think for most of the parents, because during this period of time, I also deliver a lot of sharings for the parent communities. They care about what is the critical skill next generation need to equip. I think there's one thing we all understand, the capability, the AI skill is much more important than ever. Okay, another interesting question. 85% of the Hong Kong leaders believe that AI is really the way to go so as to ensure they can stay competitive. This data, if I remember for the survey we just done, one thing at least, there's no argument is people believe that AI is really the way to go. If they need to stay competitive, definitely sometime they need to use AI. Or maybe in other terms, I can say, people do consistently ask me two questions. One question is, will AI replace people? Then my answer to them is, I believe that even though with AI, humans still will be in control, but the one know AI will replace the one don't know AI. Similarly, for a company, if a company use AI, definitely will be more competitive than a company don't use AI. But 66% of the organization, indeed, they don't have a plan and vision to implement AI. Why? They believe the way to go, but they have no plan. What's the problem? Okay, this slide. One thing is people will think, I don't need to do anything because my employee, indeed, they already bring their own AI tools. I think it's a misconception. I think how we shall look at the data is employee, they really expect AI to help their work. No matter how quick your company implement AI into your work environment, but one thing you need to make sure, you need to educate your employee and provide some tools for your employee to use. 97% of the organization, they don't implement AI. The reason behind is because they still have a lot of concern on cybersecurity, data privacy. On this part, actually, there's something that we understand we need to pay attention. Actually, we need to face it and see how we can address it. The last thing is, because at this moment, people are also worried about what is the readiness of the law, the governance, all these kind of topics. Then what's my recommendations for the enterprise at this moment with all this concern? Number one, responsible AI. What means by responsible AI? Then that means, of course, AI is the way to go. But no matter how good is this technology, trust is the foundation. If you don't use it in the right way, it is difficult to have sustainable benefit. Then what we mean by responsible AI, a short video I would like to share with you.
Ever hear the old saying, you are what you eat? Well, when it comes to AI, that's especially true, which is why it's essential we talk about responsible AI. By providing AI with diverse, accurate, and de-biased information, we set the table for it to better serve everyone. And all that requires is a principled development mindset, one that looks at how AI will be used and how it can make a positive difference in the world. We can begin with something as simple as transparency around where AI sources information and how that information shapes its responses. Another priority is data security, establishing systems and protocols to safeguard confidential material. And by building diversity into both our teams and our data, we can help prevent inherent biases from impacting the model. As we continue to work with AI, we need to keep a close eye on it, auditing and adjusting settings, training and retraining our models. Because while AI has incredible potential, it's on all of us to use it to do good.
Responsible AI, it is for everyone. It is for every individual, every enterprise, and also for us as a tech company. When we develop AI, we need to have this bear in mind. And this is my last slide I would like to share with you. Some tips for all of you. At this moment, we understand AI definitely is the way to go. Some companies maybe still struggle on the cybersecurity, data privacy. The recommendation is some actually a technical challenge can be addressed. Number one is for our enterprise, actually, you need to think about this topic because I think there's something that it will not wait for you. The world is moving. You need to implement an enterprise-grade AI environment so that when your employees are using it, then still use in a secure as well as in a governance way. The second thing is there must be some training for the employee to make sure that when your employee using AI, they have the right concept in terms of responsible AI, cybersecurity, data privacy, what data they can put on it, what data they cannot put on it. And also, even though we say it is large language model, natural language, but indeed prompt engineering, how you can use the right prompt to get the best out from it is also something need training. Last but not the least, we need to understand AI is not something binary. What I mean by binary, then that means it's not the case that when you implement, you can immediately see the ROI. It is somehow a journey. Then that means your employee, a company, need to learn. Then how to learn? Then we must start with a critical mass. Then our recommendation is for company, if you want to start this journey to change your company's culture, to change the way how your employee work, to change how your business process, then you need to start with a critical mass, something like 20 to 30%, maybe a good yardstick for all of you. Thanks a lot.
In the next talk, Mr. Andrew Weir, KPMG International Asset Management and Real Estate Global Chair, guides us in evaluating external changes that may give rise to significant governance issues, and then reflects on corporate governance practices and gives advice on how to enhance companies' resilience.
I've been asked to talk about resilience and governance, and I think it's another one of those opportunities to call out to all chartered secretaries, company secretaries, that here's a massive opportunity to stamp one's mark in an organization, and it's all about strategy and risk and providing board leadership. It is a very complex world, which everybody admits and everybody talks about, but one needs to move away from saying it's a complex world into somehow finding a way forward when you're running a board or an organization. And resilience is the key word at the moment, the buzzword, how to cope with this fast-changing world, all of the challenges and issues, and have enough resilience in the organization that you can navigate through these storms. And there will be winners and losers in the world we live in now. It's far too simple to say it's complicated. And in these themes I want to share with you, hopefully you can reflect on them and think in your own organization, are we on top of these themes? From a governance viewpoint, are we on top of it? Are we managing them? Are we seeing the opportunity as well as the risk of these matters? And at the end of the day, good governance is the answer to nearly everything. One of the advantages of COVID is I haven't had to go to Davos. I just got the slide. I eat enough canapes and drink enough champagne and events in Hong Kong. I didn't need to go away to Switzerland. But actually, what's come out recently from Davos is much more balanced and much more interesting than before. Before was always very good, of course. It was heavily environmental, which is absolutely fine, but didn't mention anything else. If you take a step back, this is quite a useful aid memoir on some of the risks which are being seen in the world at the moment. Because one of the key things on governance is actually having enough access to information, and in particular, external information. External risk and emerging risk are the two hardest things if you're on a board or sharing a board. Operational risk is relatively easy. Emerging risk and external risk is very hard. And getting the info and then looking about how you're going to respond. But just have a look at this report. It's downloadable. One has to move beyond saying technology is a challenge and a risk and fast changing. You've got to drill it down. Biggest issues these days, look at the new language, misinformation and disinformation. Cyber insecurity. Cyber security has moved away from fear of hacks, which is a legitimate concern, into overall holistic issue on how do we have the right governance over data? How do we have enough security over data and how it's used? Adverse outcomes of artificial intelligence technologies. But a few other things. Let's just leave the environmental to one side at the moment. You've got a lot of geopolitical issues out there, and a big one is societal. All the organizations I deal with and the boards I deal with, one thing which, coming out of COVID, everybody knew we had to transform. Everybody knew work from home was new. Everybody knew that ESG's moved to another angle. What was grossly underestimated was the change in the patterns of behavior. Behavior of customers, behavior of suppliers, behavior of stakeholders. Massive changes in behavior. So these societal changes are also very important as well. So what I did at the beginning of the year is I put together everything I've been seeing and said, what are the top 10 key areas if you're on a board, which you should really be regularly working your way through? Or we all know when you're on a board, particularly if you're a non-executive director, it's hard to get the right items on the agenda. So easy to fall for a management-led dialogue, management-led agenda. This is top-down. Just have a look at them. But the point I'd like to make is it evolves the relative importance of them. I think a year ago, the whole talk would have been about digital transformation, cybersecurity, and probably supply chains. Now the two biggies are generative AI and people and talent. And the fact that people and talent has become a major strategic risk and opportunity for organizations, which is much greater than HR. And it links to what Kylie was saying about artificial intelligence, the role of workers, the role of work, expectations, post-COVID expectations, etc. But look, these are the things I think if you're on a board or you're a company secretary, to make sure these are being discussed. And one applies a governance framework to them. So first key question, on these 10, is it absolutely clear? If you want a resilient company, you need a board which is on top and has a framework on top of all enterprise risk and strategy. On these 10 areas, is it absolutely clear where accountability rests at board level? Is it absolutely clear on ownership? Is it absolutely clear that the 3 lines of defense apply to these areas? And in my experience in the last year or two, these emerging areas, particularly ones which are quite complex, it's quite easy for it to be seen as beyond the standard skill set and therefore isn't considered at board level. So Callie, I'd be really interested in if one of your questions was how many boards have explicitly discussed artificial intelligence and assessed the risk and opportunity of it. It'd be very interesting to know the answer. So we produce a board agenda at the beginning of every year at our Board Leadership Centre. Let me just share some of the things we've been putting in there to help equip boards to be resilient. And I think the most important thing is, if you're the chairman or the company secretary, is a top-down approach in making sure you're covering off the key areas. Strategy risk, is this being linked into the disruption we're all seeing around ourselves? Is there a governance structure for development and use of generative AI? Callie, one of your great questions is, are people aware of the use of generative AI? All of us are using it. Half the time we don't even realize we're using it. It's a massive risk, but one could put a framework in place, a governance framework around it. Maintain the focus, cybersecurity, data privacy. I won't go through it all, but you can see, I'll leave the slides with you. Working through methodically, one can really give resilience to the company by working through methodically at the board agenda level. Towards the end of the slide, you'll see quite an interesting point. This is a big point in the West, clarifying when the business speaks out on societal issues. In our KPMG Global CEO survey, it's very interesting. Nearly all of the content from Western CEOs was about what I would call societal issues. A lot less. The word profit and performance, wasn't anywhere there. Something like 65% of global CEOs thought social mobility was a major part of their role. Out in this part of the world, I'm not so sure people would look at it that way. But this influence of business and society, and when one speaks out, is an important part of the role. And then again, this point about strategically looking at talent, expertise, and particularly diversity in the boardroom. This inclusion, diversity, equity concept, which is very popular in the West and being pushed very hard here, it's got to be seen as a strategic board-level issue, not a nice-to-have. It's a fundamental, important thing to the resilience of the business. So halfway through the year, we did an audit where we're going, and I won't go through in detail, but basically more of the same. Recognition that nationalism as opposed to globalization, of a changing nature of globalization, is having a massive effect. Workplace security, insecurity, and way of working, very, very different. Are these being discussed at boardrooms in Hong Kong? Are we, as chartered secretaries, putting forward these discussions? Are we doing it at a board retreat or strategic repeat? I leave it up to you. And again, this prevalence of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. So before it was about control of data, control of information. Now it's about how it's being used, packaged, and relied on, and the ramifications of it from a reputation and other risk. And then just finally, another area, just really to give us an example, artificial intelligence in the boardroom. We've got a paper here, and it'll be circulated afterwards. All the guiding principles of governance apply to artificial intelligence. It's fine in the board not to know much about it, but to ask the right questions and to have the framework for its consideration. What is the risk appetite relating to artificial intelligence? What is the involvement of artificial intelligence in the supply chain? And I think you can almost see like capital, customer, technology, artificial intelligence. It goes across all aspects of the business. So in my business, I was very shocked to find out the use of artificial intelligence in our screening of applicants in the UK, in KPMG in the UK. And it's very hard to tell a client that their son or daughter did not get in because AI said no. It's very hard. But that is the reality. The screening by artificial intelligence on recruitment is just one example of the world we live in. And then, just to build on what Callie was saying, it's about responsible AI. Fairness, there is inbuilt bias in a lot of AI. ChatGPT is a good example. It probably gets you 80% there as a very early draft, but it reiterates and reinforces biases in the data set, which has given rise to the generation. So fairness, explainability, accountability, where in the organization for every part of artificial intelligence, where does it sit? Security, a big, big issue. A lot of this AI draws on data, draws on commercial information organizations have. Privacy, there's some major privacy concerns relating to AI and the use of data, and of course data integrity. And then finally, the reliability, and then redress in the event of there's a fault in AI. So dear friends, I just want to share with you, this AI is a very, very important issue in the concept of resilience, but it is manageable and doable, but probably requires a significant mindset shift and boards focusing on it and putting the framework in place. So just coming back to the opening line, this is all meant to be about resilience. To sum it all up, it's about having a very good grasp of all the external risks, externalities out there, how that then influences the business, and then applying good governance against those, and making sure that these key risks are all considered and assessed in a very systematic way. Thank you very much.